Hello, welcome to Talking Games Match Preview. Manchester United against West Ham United. Charlie, may you kick us off with your thoughts on Man United, please?
Yeah, I'm surprised in a way they've stuck with Ten Hag for as long as they have. I quite like him as a manager, and I think I could say the same thing about Manchester United now that I could have last year and maybe even the year before. There's things I like there that I think are going well, but as a whole, it sort of hasn't quite come together to be the Manchester United we all knew and feared at one point, right? And like I say, I'm sort of surprised they've stuck by him in a sense because I would have thought that it would be, I don't know, maybe slightly less patience. I don't think it's going particularly horrendously, but it's clearly not going what they would want Manchester United to be. But perhaps maybe, I don't know, Mikel Arteta existing and showing that persevering with someone for a while can get you good results. I don't think it's going to happen in quite the same way for Manchester United. But yeah, I don't know, they're a bit of a weird one. I don't really know, Geo, which sort of Manchester United we're going to get, really.
Chaos.
Yeah.
A very chaotic club. There's always something going on with Man United. Now, often things like that can be blown out of proportion due to how big the club is. So actually, it's sort of mountain out of a molehill stuff with a lot of things just because it's Man United. So I would suggest that the Marcus Rashford thing, for example, which is a player went out, has got blown up. And obviously, there's the Jadon Sancho thing there. So there's issues that's happened in the past. So it's history repeating itself with perhaps a more popular player. But I feel like that issue possibly happens at a lot of clubs. You just don't hear about it because they're not Man United. But I do think a lot of this stuff you hear about, the chaos that you're delivered, is almost worthy because of what's going on. Whether that is, Ten Hag being questioned about Sancho or Rashford, whether it is about the ownership, whether it is the results, and it's always just feels like there's something happening. I actually really like Ten Hag, Charlie. He's somebody that I would have loved at West Ham in the past. And when he went to Man U, I thought he would do well there. And I think he did well last season, winning a cup, getting to the final of the other domestic competition, getting back into the Champions League. And I thought, all right, for your first season, that's pretty promising. And I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised at how poor they've been at times this season. I have been, and I know there's been a lot of injuries and big question marks over some of the transfers, Anthony in particular. But I expected better from him and them. And I still think he's a good manager. Whether he will succeed at Man United, if you asked me when he first went in, I would have said yes, quite confidently. And I would argue that you'd be correct after season number one, winning a trophy in his first season champion. I'd argue that is a successful season for him. But if you ask me now, I would say maybe not. I think my confidence in Ten Hag succeeding at Man United has somewhat dropped drastically over the last 10 months or whatever it is since we started at the end of last season. Why that is, though, I don't know. Big club to manage, and I don't know if he's quite old school with some of his methods, and perhaps it doesn't go down well with a modern footballer. I think at times tactically they look bad. They look really bad. I watch Man United, and there's not much evidence as to what they're trying to do in comparison to other teams in and around ourselves in Man United at the moment, where you look at them and there's obvious what the manager wants to do. And I feel like I struggle with that. What do you think about Ten Hag in terms of sort of long term at Man United?
I think similarly with Arteta in a sense, if they stuck by him and actually backed the vision fully, then I could see it working out. I don't know what that means for them. Like, I don't know what working out equates to. Does that equate to them being title challengers again? Does that equate to them being Champions League challengers again? Whatever that means, I don't know. But I do think like you say, I like him a lot, and I think there's something there. It's whether or not, I think the question remains what the question is what their ownership will do. And obviously they're having that big change at the moment with what's his face, Radcliffe, and all those other people. Is his name Radcliffe? I don't remember. And how they end up working all that stuff out, how they end up going about their business as manager, I think is the bigger question mark. And that's kind of why I'm shocked he's still there, because I would have thought there would be some sort of, like you say, I think a lot of people have come way similarly to you have, where the last however long it's sort of felt like it's been going in one trajectory with Ten Hag and the confidence levels in him, and the fact he's still there maybe shows that they're willing to be a bit more long-termist about it. I think that's the only way. And I think realistically, if you're a club like Manchester United, I think it's the right thing to do is to pick a guy and then to try and build around him and go forward from there, as opposed to Chelseaing their way through 15,000 managers at once. I think it's probably the right thing to do. It's just, are they willing to take the hits in the meantime to get to that final conclusion? And that remains to be seen. My gut says probably not, but that remains to be seen.
Well, prediction time, Charlie. They are out of European football. They're still in the FA Cup, though, just below us in the Premier League. Where do you expect Man United to finish up come the end of the season? And will they have FA Cup glory?
I do think they'll get top six. I do think they'll get top six. The FA Cup seems likely at this point. Do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to back it. I'll say top six in FA Cup. I think that's probably a bit of a bold prediction, but I feel like, and it could be, do you know what it is? I think in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about what happened last night with Rashford playing and scoring. And like, I've only seen the highlights from that game. Obviously didn't watch it live because I was busy doing other things, but watching our game, for example, but like seeing from the highlights, he looked like he was up for it. I've read reviews since, and they spoke about him reacting well to everything that had happened. And I think for them, getting someone like Rashford in full form is kind of key to that. And if he does come off the back of this like period of everyone having conversations about him going here, there, and everywhere, and whatever else, if he comes out the back of that fit and firing on all cylinders, and you get like him linking up with Luke Shaw down the left hand side, then all of a sudden they're looking quite strong again, and something can sort of come to pass there. And I think sixth and an FA Cup is a success, and I think probably feasible. It'd be difficult, but I think it's probably likely.
I'm going to say seventh in the FA Cup. I don't think they'll win the FA Cup, and I'll say seventh. That's my wee prediction for Man United. Speaking about Man United summer, then, what do you reckon they should be aiming for long term? I say long term, next season, this summer. What do you reckon that looks like for Man U?
I mean, like obviously, Champions League is the goal, right? They have to go back to being a Champions. They have to get back into those top four spaces. How they get there, I don't know. It's difficult because I think they have to. Their centre backs need work. I think that's clear as day as anyone else is. I think I'm not convinced by. I think Dallow's having a good season. Whenever I've seen him play, I've been impressed by him, but I'm not convinced he's the long-term solution there. Their midfield, I think they have less question marks over now, and I'd be interested to see what my assessment of it would be at the end of the season with the likes of MUNWHU and stuff coming through and how that sort of ends up working out. And then does Højlund end up working out? I think you have to stick by him in the summer regardless, because I feel like giving him one season and then just throwing him out the door or buying in another huge name striker and just putting him in his place is kind of harsh, and I feel like kind of counterproductive to what the point of buying someone of his age and potential is. But you could see the temptation if they're looking at it and going, we need top four this season, new owners or new at least ownership and leadership structure going, let's go and get a striker. You could see it happening even if it was unfair on him. So I guess a lot of that question comes down to whether or not he actually ends up kicking on or not. And at this point, I'm not convinced that's going to happen.
Yeah, they seem to need quite a big sort of rebuild in the summer, and there's a lot of flops at that club. Mason Mount so far, 60 million. Anthony Onana's not doing particularly well. I mean, Again, I thought Onana was a good sign. I liked him at Ajax. I'm surprised at how bad he's been. But the fact of the matter is, he's not doing well. Mount's nowhere to be seen. Anthony's not performing. So there's a lot of holes in that Man U team, and they're making a lot of progress off the pitch to try and get a team in place ahead of the summer transfer window. But I'll go back to the very start. I used the word chaos, and that's how I would sum up Man United's transfer strategies under Ten Hag, where it's almost like he's got this desire to rebuild that Ajax team, and it ain't working. It's not going to work. And I think if somebody could come in and sort the transfers out for them, and I disagree what you say about the striker. I think you should stick with Højlund, but they were able to go get someone like Ivan Toney, and that was your move Anthony Martial on. I think suddenly you've got guaranteed goals in your team. It's just a case of, can we now build a team to give them chances? Because I have watched Man U. They're boring. They're boring to watch. They don't create enough chances for Højlund. Now, I appreciate they've scored 4 last night. I haven't seen that game for reasons Charlie stated, but when I watch them this season, they're not creating enough. And I think they've got a lot of good players in that squad. they're just not playing at their full capabilities at the minute. Speaking of players, Charlie, anyone you admire from Man U?
Yeah, I maintain my love affair with Luke Shaw. I think he's really good. I just don't get the hate he gets sometimes.
No.
I look at it, I'm like, what are you watching, bro? I think he's really good. I controversially before this season I would have said I'd liked Bruno. I think he's gone off the boil a little bit this season. I've not been as impressed with him as I usually is, but I do think he's a very good player. Despite everything about him, I do like watching him play football. Love Christian Eriksen, always have, probably always will. What a guy! And I think Marcus Rashford, a big. It's an obvious name, but I think when he's in form, he is legitimately like brilliant. Like when he's full swing, absolutely nailing life. He is one of the better players in that position in the league. He's just lightning. Not there yet, but potentially we'll be getting there.
Yeah, I agree with Luke Shaw. I've always been a big fan of him. I think I've used the term world class to describe him in the past. We didn't apply it to him at the moment in terms of due to his injury and stuff. But again, another assist for him against Wolves, straight back in, assist for him. I genuinely think he's fantastic. I don't see many better left backs than him in the Premier League. I think when he's fully fit and at the top of his game, I think he's really good defensively, and I think he's really good going forward. There's not much weaknesses in his game, and he can move for a chunky lad as well. I think MUNWHU's impressed me a lot. When he was injured at the start of the season, then Ten Hag threw him straight in, and then there was sort of context given, which was Ten Hag been wanting to play him for a while. He's just been injured, and it was still a big ask for an 18-year-old to go in. It was at Everton away, I think, might have been his first game. He got taken off, but he was still man in match, and got his goal last night against Wolves as well. But he looks fantastic in that role. He looks better and more composed, and he looks more, I know he's not, but he looks more experienced than Casemiro, McTominay. Honestly, he's putting some seasoned, experienced players to shame in the middle of the pitch at Man United at the minute. And Garnacho, when he first came into the scene, he looked very raw. Like there was a lot of work to be done on him to refine his game. He looked quite erratic. But every time I watch him, I just think he gets a little bit more polished. And I think his game's developed a lot over the season. If you would go back and watch Garnacho at the start of the season to now, I think the improvement is drastic. And there's one or two players you look at in the Premier League and you think, how good can this player get? Because we speak about Ten Hag being on that kind of trajectory. Well, actually, Garnacho is the opposite. And, players like Darwin Núñez at Liverpool, you watch him while he's chaos, you do look at him and he's getting better every game. You just think, how far, what's the ceiling for him? You don't know. And I've got that with Garnacho. Like, how good can he become? I'm not that sure, actually. And for Man United fans, that must be exciting. But that's the three that I'd pick out for Man U. Anyway, from Man U to West Ham, you ready to discuss this?
As I'll ever be. Do we know who's in the team? Has anyone else left? Not come yet?
I've got a bit of team news for you.
Okay, lay it on me.
Do you want a bit of team news?
Yeah, I would be intrigued as to what it was.
Well, I need to promote match bingo. So do you want team news then bingo, or bingo then team news? Which would you like first?
I'm more excited about match bingo than I am the team news. The team news has me a sense of dread. Bingo only excites me, Geo.
Okay, right. Well, this video is sponsored by Match Bingo, combining the game that you know and love in the UK of bingo with your favourite sport, football, including your favourite teams, Man United and West Ham United as well. But there's not only play-to-pay cards, there is free cards on there, such as bingos, and you can get a free card for the Everton Spurs game. Now, this is a fantastic way to get involved in the app and see how it works without paying any money. It is a gambling app, so you have to be 18 over and you have to gamble responsibly. However, that is something at the heart of this app because it's only £2 per card and you can only stake a maximum of £10 per game. So they're taking gambling responsibility into consideration when creating this app. Now, you can download it in the description below when we do the watch along on Sunday. I'll be playing it in the build-up. Charlie will be playing it during the watch along, where you get a card with 15 things, prize for first line, prize for the second line, and a full house as well. So do get involved. Links in description. It's free to download, it's free to sign up, and there are free to play games on there as well. I urge you to play the free ones to get used to the app. Bingos, basically gives you 15 teams you need to score this weekend. And then the Everton Spurs game is the one that's a free card this weekend. So get involved because there's 10 free cards per month on the app as well. Helps channel out too. That's bingo. Would you like the team news?
Yes, I would.
Right, the team news for West Ham. Nathan Gerrard is back for West Ham United. Morocco have been eliminated from the African Cup of Nations, so he is returned and he should be available for West Ham on Sunday should we wish to use him. Vladimir Coufal is also back after his one-match suspension. He missed the game against Bournemouth, so he's available for selection should David Moyes wish to use him. However, Mikel Antonio has only just returned to the grass. Antonio is on grass, it's that phrase. He's back in training now, so it'll still be a few weeks till we see him in the first team. And Lucas Paqueta is unavailable for this game, so we still do not have him. For the sake of the preview, we're not going to include Pat Bernals and Saïd Benrahma. We're going to assume that they're real Betis and Lyon players, and even if they weren't, I think it's fair to assume they wouldn't be playing on Sunday. Yeah. So for this preview, Charlie, we're going to ignore Fornals and Benrahma and pretend there was not a computer malfunction at West Ham last night, okay?
Sure, I can do my best.
Right. In goal, who would you like to see?
Areola. Really good performance. I don't see no reason to drop him at this stage right now.
What formation would you like? Would you like to, well, your defence, would you like 3 at the back or 4 at the back?
4.
Give me your personnel, please.
Although, having said that, I'm now terrified about what I'm about to say, but it's going to be Bele, Ben Johnson, right back, Mavropanos, Aged, and Emerson. I
agree. Dropping Kurt Zouma?
I'm not even certain he could make it to the stadium. The way that man moves is scary at the best of times. But yeah, it's just a bit messy, innit? And I can't see. No, just no.
Yeah, I agree for what it's worth. That's the same back 4 I'd like to see. Last night against Bournemouth was the first time. This is the last time I say it, don't worry. But the whole meme, the joke that nobody's been missing Aguerd, nobody's been keeping an eye on Morocco, we've all been focused on Kudus and Ghana, nobody's cared when Aguerd's back. Well, actually, last night during the game, I was thinking, I miss Aguerd right now. I would like Aguerd in that centre-back pairing with Mavropanos. Broken, Zouma looks even more broken. And even if he wasn't, even if Zouma was as fit as Zouma can get, there's always been big reservations over if he can play Thursday, Sunday, hence why he hasn't done it. He's barely, now and again, he does it at the latter stages of European competitions. We've sometimes used him Thursday, Sunday, but we've managed his schedule very well. So for that reasons, I think there's too many reasons to not play Zouma.
Yeah, agreed.
It's not necessarily reasons to bring Aguerd in, there's reasons to not play Zouma, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you could make an argument for Aguerd in terms of just like playing out from the back.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, for example, I don't know how strongly I believe this, but I think you could make an argument to say that the back pass that ends up to Kalvin Phillips that ends up going into the back of net wouldn't have happened if Aguerd was in the team. I think there's an argument. I don't know how much I believe it, but I think there is an argument to say. And I think we do miss that on the left-hand side. It was sort of when Zouma first played on the left and Mavropanos was on the right, we were all like a bit shocked that it worked. It felt like something that shouldn't have worked. And we were all like, whoa, okay, that's the thing. And because it worked, we've carry on doing it. I think there's probably arguments to say that it shouldn't happen, and the how much we've struggled to build up, especially I'm thinking specifically of yesterday's game, but how much we struggled to build up is probably evidence for why.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of balance, I think Mavropanos and Ogbonna has possibly been one of our better centre-back partnerships this season. I don't want to see Ogbonna, though.
Probably true, yeah.
But the point is, it didn't include Kurt Zouma playing to the left of Mavropanos. And right back to Johnson over Coufal.
Yeah, man. Bele, all day. No, I genuinely, I think, to take my own meme out of it, I've been disappointed by Coufal recently. And there's been games, for example, in the cup games where he was getting bullied. And usually Coufal would just hulk up and go absolutely insane and do something stupid. And he just didn't. And like, don't get me wrong, for most people, probably a positive to not see Coufal go in with his elbow on someone. But I was looking for some sort of reaction from him and it just wasn't. And I think there are perfectly legitimate criticisms of Ben Johnson's game and his performances. I'm not just going to sit here and say like it was all rosy and all incredible. As much as I loved it, I'm not going to sit here and say that. But he reacted every single time. And when he did get the ball, he was willing to go with it and run with it and try to link up and do something different. And I feel like that's a positive, and it's something I want to reward and nurture and see how far this can go at this point, because realistically, as much as Soufal's been a good player for the club, I think he's going to continue to be out for the rest of the season. I don't know how long term that is. And Ben Johnson, I'm hoping, will be here for the long term. And I really want to see in his actual position, given a run of games in it, can he sort of start to really put some performances together? Because I saw signs of it last night. I think he was linking up and he was making runs and going with the ball in an interesting way, which is something that, Soufal gets forward, but he's not doing link-up play or really driving with the ball. A lot of the times he's moving into the space that becomes created because we shift the ball over to the left-hand side and then we sort of punt it at him. He takes a couple of touches and whips it in. Not a criticism, and that's what he does. Ben Johnson was bringing something a little bit different, and I want to see if we can kickstart something by giving him a run of games.
Yeah, and also up against Rashford, who Soufal, not Rashford specifically, can struggle against nippy wingers as well. So I think there's a defensive element to there too. Moving into midfield then, whom and what would you like to see?
So it would be, I'd go with the 4-2-3-1. Do you want the double pivot, or do you want me to go through the players ahead of that as well?
Give me the double.
It's your boy Alvarez and Phillips.
And give me your number 10, please.
James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, completely agree. It feels obvious.
Yeah.
You sure you don't want Ward-Prowse left wing again?
I'm pretty certain on that one. That's the big thing for me, is like, my problem is I really do like Souček. I really do like what he brings. I'm one of the few people who will go out on a limb and say that Thomas Souček, he's a good footballer. I know people will disagree and never go at me for it, but I do genuinely feel that. But I think a lot of the upside that you get from Thomas Souček is good defensive qualities and stuff. Kalvin Phillips covers, and I think he also brings the passing range. Now you lose the absolute box threat that Thomas Souček is, charging in late, mad headers, somehow quite capable with his feet in the box as well. Obviously a threat from corners and everything else. We should just write off corners. We're never going to score another one. We always put it in the same area. But I think you get a lot of that with Kalvin Phillips regardless.
Against Bournemouth as well. If you're getting 10 corners a game, in fair, but when you're only getting one, it's difficult to...
I think it's a good point. And then I think James Ward-Prowse just has to play in the 10. I think if James Ward-Prowse is, you play him in the 10, arguably you can play him in some sort of 4-3-3 and an 8 type thing. But outside of that, you're not playing James Ward-Prowse. That's the only two places you can play him. He can't play as a 6. Please do not play him on the left.
Yeah, I agree. I think while he was poor out on the left, it was a system error rather than Ward-Prowse being poor. Right. We also missed him helping helping Jarrod Bowen press. At times, 100%. Bowen was trying to press, and Souček, he's just not good at it. He's not good at pressing like James Ward-Prowse was. And some of our bigger and better victories this season have come with Ward-Prowse alongside. Recently, Jarrod Bowen, but if you go back to the start of the season, Jarrod Bowen was James Ward-Prowse was pressing alongside Michail Antonio, and Bowen was out on the right hand. Kudus wasn't in the team at this point, but Ward-Prowse was still up there doing the pressing. So a lot of our wins have come with James Ward-Prowse up front to some extent, helping with the press, forcing the defence into errors, and then springing on the counter attack. And it's something that I've missed a little bit actually. Ward-Prowse being able to get forward when we spring an attack in. At times when we do, it's quite slow, but Ward-Prowse isn't the quickest player, but he can be quite direct in terms of his running.
Yeah.
And when you look at the goal against Spurs not that long ago, again, he's there. Him and Bowen are there, hassling the defenders, forcing them into errors, and then capitalising on them as well. So I would like to see that complete make-up. I've got a feeling we've got a matching starting 11 here, Charlie. On the right, you would like to see?
Kudus.
Up front, you would like to see?
Jarrod Bowen.
And on the left, you'd like to see?
I mean, it's Paqueta if he's fit, but then if not, Cornet. Yeah, Cornet.
Again, it just feels obvious.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, right, this is the Cornet problem. Moyes doesn't trust him. And I'll be honest, I don't either. I just don't. I've seen his performances over the time he's been at the club have just not been good enough. There's the obvious caveat that he hasn't had enough game time. There's the obvious huge injury he had in the middle of it. But what was really damning to me was when he first came back from his injury and he started to get game time. He was getting more game time than he is now, but he was looking promising. There were signs of him looking lively, getting on the ball, sprinting with it. There were runs he was making, and I was like, "Oh, he looks like he's not been too damaged by this injury." His performances have got worse. They've slowly deteriorated from there. They just slowly got worse and worse and worse. And as that's happened, he's got less and less game time. And Moyes clearly doesn't trust him. And I understand it because I don't necessarily either. The problem is, systematically, you have to do it. There's no other option. There just isn't. Like, I can't figure. I look at the team. I look at who's available. I look at who we have, and there is nothing there. We can't change it up in any other manner. You know, what else are you gonna do? Something mad and put Souček in there? Now, like, don't get me wrong.
He might do.
Oh, go on.
I think he might play Ings through the middle.
This is the thing, right? If you play a different striker, then there is a potential for it. But Ings, he's just not. You can't.
I don't want to see it either.
I don't
want to see it either. But it was quite damning that his first substitution is only pointful substitution against Bournemouth because Kudus came on with so few minutes left. It wasn't even.
Yeah.
It was because Kudus was knackered and to waste time. But Ings came on and we moved Bowen and Kudus around a little bit and sort of went with like a 3-man attack. And I think that the two ways we might play against Man United is with Ings through the middle and Kudus to the left and Bowen to the right, or he'll play the exact same 11 again. He might change the centre back, but he'll play. Soufal might come in for Johnson, but in terms of the midfield and attack, I think it will remain the same.
I can't imagine him playing the same 11 again, but only just because usually I would. This isn't me saying that Moyes isn't stubborn, because usually I would actually be like, yeah, he probably would just do the same thing again. The fact he's sort of in the post-match press conferences and interviews since has sort of taken culpability for the system and saying he got it wrong and saying it sort of didn't really work and wasn't really working. That makes me think he might actually change it. Usually I'd be like, no, I'll just do the same thing again.
Okay, then let me. He might change it to how we started the second half.
Potentially, but even then, I feel like, yeah, maybe.
Same 11, but Ward-Prowse in the 10, Phillips and Souček either side of Alvarez, and Bowen up front, and Kudus up front when in possession, and right back when out of possession, because Souček wouldn't get out to cover Ben Johnson. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he does. I would like to see the teams we've mentioned, but I just don't have any optimism at all whatsoever. Anyway, in terms of the game itself, Charlie, you feeling confident?
Despite all that, yeah, somehow. I don't know. There's something about it. I think partly we beat him earlier in the season, so that's playing in the back of my mind that we've done it once, we can do it again. I think if the thing is, if Paqueta was fit, I would say quite confidently yes. I would say quite confidently yes. Without him, there's obvious questions to be raised in the way we end up playing, but I do think we can do it. And I do genuinely believe, and I said this during the watch along, I said it during the build-up, I said it a little bit in the video we did this morning, right? I do genuinely believe Kalvin Phillips he's got such a huge upside for us. I think if we can learn to pass him the ball, slightly quicker this time, Zuma would be nice, but if we can learn to pass him the ball and just trust him to start hitting those long balls into the path of Bowen, into the path of Kudus, I think it really could work out for us. I see a situation in which we have very low percentage of possession tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, sorry, when we play them on Sunday. I see a situation in which we have basically no possession, but I don't really care if we don't have possession. If we can get the ball to Kalvin Phillips and really start to hit those long-range passes, if Erik comes back in and he can start to hit those long-range switches, we can really start to put them under pressure. Cornet is like the antithesis of what Paqueta is. Paqueta, he wants to drop deep, he wants to get involved, nice little link-up play, flick in, drag players to him, he stands still a lot, drags players to him and then pings the ball around, that stuff. Cornet's not that guy, but all of a sudden it feels like we might be able to sort of effectively hit those counter-attacks in a really strong way. And if we do that, I back us against most teams, let alone a Man United side who just conceded 3 yesterday. I really do genuinely think we have a chance here. It's difficult because we don't have Paqueta, and that really, really dampens the team. And if what you fear does come to pass, it's going to be even more difficult. But if it comes, if we can get those specific players doing their thing, I don't see a situation which we're going to get. I think we have a chance. I think we have a chance.
I'm not confident, Charlie. Of course, we've got an opportunity, but Moyes has done his press conference already, and it's already white flag-ish. It's already Old Trafford's a difficult place to go, and it's the last thing I want to be hearing. Even if he believes it, I don't want to hear it. I'd rather hear something which is almost out of Braveheart, which is we're going there and we're going to try and get 3 points. Because if this was at the London Stadium or we had Paqueta available, I'd be quite optimistic. But it's not. He's unavailable,
Sure.
And we're away from home. And I have a feeling we will approach the game like we're playing Fergie's Man United. And I don't fear Man U. I do not fear this Man U team. They've had a good result against Wolves. I believe they played really well, although I've just seen highlights. That's it. I believe they played really well. But prior to that, they haven't been that great. There's nothing about them that terrifies me. But saying that, if a Man United fan's been watching us recently, they'll be sitting there thinking, there's nothing about them that terrifies me. There's Kudus and Bowen individual star quality, but apart from that, we'll be all right. Just try and restrict as much little corners as possible. Don't give away free kicks outside the box because someone might score one finally, and just double up on Kudus and you'll be okay, kind of thing. So I'm not confident. I'm optimistic. I'm looking forward to it. You know, this game means a lot to me personally. I say it every season. This is one of the games I really want to win. I'll be buzzing if we win on Sunday. And a lot of the times, there's some fixtures or some situations where I turn into sort of like Mr. Results. I'm not that bothered about how we play. Bournemouth wasn't one of them. I wanted to see a better performance in that, and I was annoyed we didn't. But whenever we play Man U, it's just about the results for me. I just really want this win. I'm just not confident, Charlie. Can I get any final words and a score prediction, please?
Yeah. Like I say, if we can get those specific players working, Kalvin Phillips, if Alvarez has a good game, if Kudus and Bowen are doing what they do, then all of a sudden I feel like we have a legitimate chance here. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'll say that much. But I don't know. I'm finding it difficult to shake that part of my brain off that thinks we have a chance. And it could be the sleep deprivation talking. I'm not going to lie. But I do genuinely think there is something there to have. I think is, like you say, results are more important in totality for this game. I think it is one of those ones. And I think realistically, I think that's probably true for Moyes as well. I mean, we know it's true for Moyes in general. He's obviously going to be a results man. He's the manager of the club. It's his job. But equally, the way the reaction was after the game yesterday, before the transfer stuff, I think you go up against Manchester United and you lose. I don't really think it matters how you play. I think it would be very, very bad news for him. I'm gonna say no, I'm not gonna sit on the fence. 1-0 West Ham. Screw it.
Love that.
Gonna say, I took everything in my power not to say 1-1, but I'm gonna go 1-0 West Ham.
I'm gonna go 2-1 Man United. Hope I'm wrong. I think we're going to see all 4 centre midfielders again, and I struggle to see a formation or a way of playing that will be effective. I think the second half against Bournemouth sort of worked, but again, it was still shoehorning players in for the sake of it. There were still better options in the squad, and I think that's what I expect him to do. And as a result, I think we'll struggle in this one. So I'm going to say Man United 2, West Ham 1. But I hope you're right, Charlie. I'll be buzzing.
I hope I'm right, but we'll have to wait and see.
Right, get involved in the comments below. But if you've enjoyed this preview, please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up. Subscribe to Hammers Chat, and if you fancy getting involved with Match Bingo, please download the app. Links in the description below. It's free to download and it's free to sign up. and you can grab a free bingo card called Bingos, as well as a free card for the Everton Spurs game on Saturday. Get your grips, work out how it goes, and if you like it, then you can buy one for the Man United West Ham game on Sunday at £2 a pop. And you can play along with Charlie in the watch along, and hopefully one of you guys can win the kitty. Hopefully one of you guys can win the big bucks. We'll catch you on Sunday.